Hi, this is Byron Horton with the Whitetail Experience, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about trail cameras and really what our strategy is, what we've learned, and just some tips, techniques, and what we're doing here on the public land in Ohio. Starting off, I really think we focus our trail cameras in both farm country and big woods, and I would say in farm country, what we've kind of discovered is placement of these trail cameras, not necessarily on bedding, but either food sources, creek crossings, or areas to and from like a major travel corridor. Something we really believe in is letting these trail cameras soak for long periods of time. I put out my trail cameras starting late May in the big woods, and that's just because I had the free time. I think, you know, that's not exactly the most optimal time to be getting those out, but I had free time, and so I made do with that. And we really don't pull our trail cameras till this late July, August period, and that's really due to time. I want to let those cameras soak. I want to let those deer kind of calm back down from me being in there. I don't like to be intruding on these locations very much. With that being said, long-term soaking cameras are good and bad, because if you do have an error or a leaf or a twig get in front of your sensor, obviously you're not going to catch that very soon, and so you're going to lose data. You're going to have very frustrating periods of time. Dave, for example, had some trail camera malfunctions literally 2 nights ago, and has kind of written off trail cameras for him just due to his time and his energy, and he's just going to let in-season scouting be more of his asset. I myself, I have a little bit more time right now, so I'm able to run these cameras and probably going to utilize some of the data I'm getting from them. Back to placement. I would say my favorite location in farm country has got to be right on the edge of a bean field or a hay field, alfalfa field, or even maybe a meadow. I will straight put a trail camera, even if it's on the public shooting a private land field, as long as I've got the line and I've got the tree. I generally put these cameras obviously up high facing the field, and you know, you got to watch your detection zone because of them being elevated. That narrows that zone, but if you're shooting them out at a little bit of a distance, I found them to be a little better. Something that we learned is my buddy Zoe put a trail camera on a trail going to a bean field, and it just didn't get the triggers we were thinking it would, and I moved that camera right to the edge of the bean field, and we got noticeably more detail. I think you don't want to overthink the situation here. In the summer, there's not as many people out, at least in Ohio. We have a little bit less pressure than states like Wisconsin and Michigan, and guys really aren't dedicated to running trail cameras heavy on the public land. Now the private land guys may be a little different. So that's something I would definitely consider, is those private fields. The other thing in farm country that's kind of nice that we've noticed is we don't have to put them too far from parking lots or hard to access areas. I think when you start to put those cameras in further to reach locations that requires more time, and you're obviously intruding more, and I don't really care that most of my photos, if I'm getting them close to parking lots, access, or roads, I really don't care that those photos are at night this time of year. I'm really just trying to gain inventory as far as quality bucks. Obviously, if I get some detail of a buck that's maybe regular, I will definitely throw that information into some Underground Weather Underground website and maybe look for any sort of trends or patterns. So I would say that's some of the key points and learning points from what we've had. Another big thing is, I think, plan to fail. I think right now we're batting at about 60-70% like good trail camera pulls, and you know, part of that is ants getting into cameras. We've noticed the Exodus, Dave has had ants getting into that camera a decent amount. We've had, you know, twigs, leaves get in front of the sensors, and 2,000 pictures, and I've got one doe that runs through there, when literally I went to pull the trail camera and watched a deer run within 20 yards of that camera. But you know, it's just you have those errors on public land. We had a camera actually fall over after it got good detail for a month, and lost out on that. So I think putting those cameras, you know, I think you can get a few more out if you're putting them close to the roads, access points, and then obviously pulling them, you can move quickly and be efficient with your time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Obviously in the big woods, I like to look at maybe some of the hidden food sources, whether that be a meadow, a hay field, stuff like that in the area, and then creek crossings, because I can read tracks while I'm in there. I've also got a natural funnel point, and maybe I can put that camera on the creek crossing with the best tracks. So I think that's a very effective method. I've got a camera right now sitting where there's a terrain feature that butts right up to the road, and you can see the deer tracks going in and off this road, and I've got a camera 5 yards in the road. Now I will pull that camera before season hits, because that road will get some traffic, and that's in the big woods. Other than that, I think we've also noticed that road scouting, glassing, one night of that could almost be as effective as running a couple trail cameras. You necessarily need the right conditions, I feel, for a big, for a shooter to step out. You need the dip in temperature, maybe some weather system to push through. But you can note just areas of consistent deer. And you also have to kind of, I feel like, look at, okay, where's my small game pressure going to be applied when I'm seeing these deer in certain areas, if they're repeatedly in those fields or those locations. I know we've glassed a few bucks that we know that they've been seen in this meadow, but dove season, squirrel season, this deer is going to be shifted more to the best cover that we've already scouted. And that's something like, we've scouted a lot of these areas. We've got some history. We know generally where we think they'll be bedding, but everything is subject to change due to pressure or maybe new hunters in an area, especially with public land. So I think that's definitely a few things from what I've learned this summer as far as summer scouting and trail cameras. I really like putting those things up elevated, but that you do lose a little bit of your detection. There are a few instances where I won't put them elevated. And that's just due to on the edge of a meadow I can think of, because walking through all those little pricker bushes and pokey things, dude, you got to be mentally tough, because you got to walk through that stuff for like hundreds of yards, and no offense, not many guys are going to do that. So at this point, it's mid-August, and we are shifting these cameras to fall locations and maybe historic scrapes, good travel quarters. I'm not necessarily going too close to the bedding areas at this point, but I am leaving those cameras that I put out in the summer. Something that I think is important is ordering those 8 gigabyte cards and having a 4-pack, getting those, because the price is good. But then you can go ahead and, while you're out there pulling them in the summer, you can go ahead and refresh those batteries, put a new SD card in it, format that SD card so you kind of do some troubleshooting there. But that way that camera's still out there scouting for you, and then you can go into that area and hunt, and maybe either pull that after lunch, maybe just pop in, pull that camera, and then decide your method of attack. But I really think that having cameras at home ready to deploy, maybe 1 or 2 of those, but a majority of your cameras working for you when the season started is always something to I don't know, that's a whitetail experience special. I hate seeing a bunch of trail cameras sitting at my house that aren't working for me at that time. Other than that, I think that's really it from what we've learned in the summer and kind of some thoughts around trail cameras. I hope you guys found this helpful, or just leave some comments. We can talk about it. I know I've posted a couple things on our Facebook recently about trail cam, so just wanted to make just a short video on some tactics and my thoughts. Thanks.